Hello everyone, I'm Daniel, and I want to take you through a real quick tour of what this course is going to look like, how it's structured, and of course anytime you can always email me with follow-up questions that you have. So the course is set up into weekly modules. Each week there will follow a similar pattern, although the content of course will change. Little pro tip for navigating the course, especially if you have connection speeds, your computer doesn't load very quickly. Over on the left margin, you should be able to click on a specific week, and then it will only load that week's material. That way it won't try to load the entire course. Some of your Moodle may do that by default, but if it doesn't, you can click on those. The three bars at the top, you can click here to expand the view, or if you want more of a navigational option where you can choose specific topics. So each week we'll start with a read section, and this is where you're going to get the essential statistical content. Now, when possible, I'll try to put this in two formats. One would be a written format that you can just read through. Another is a video if you prefer to watch video explanations. When I do give two options, feel free to use either one, and in some cases there may just be one option there. Some of this material is pretty dense. Here's where you will want to self-regulate whatever your purpose is for taking the course, how much time and energy you have to put into the course. It is a course where the more you put into it, the more you can certainly get out of it, and it can be a life-changing course. It has been for me. Statistics in general is something I now use in my daily life apart from teaching it, and it's really changed the way I interact with the world. So there is that potential, but I realize that for some of you it may be a required course and you just want to scrape by. That's your choice also. If you want to do that, you may just want to skim through the read section, and then you probably will want to revisit it when you're taking the quiz at the end of the week, because some of the information is in that section. Also, do know if you do skim through these read sections, the course may get more and more complicated because you'll be missing little pieces of foundational knowledge. So I would encourage that you do try to read it as much as you have time, but again, I realize that it is difficult to absorb information in that way. And that's why the next section is the focus section. And this is where you're really going to engage with that material. Typically, it'll be some of the material from the read section. As much as possible, I'll align those. And oftentimes, it'll be a spreadsheet task. So I've shared a spreadsheet with all of you, a workbook, and you'll just add new tabs each week to that spreadsheet as you're completing your assignments. Because it is Google Sheets, you won't have to share it with me constantly. I'll automatically be able to see any work that you've completed, and I won't grade it until after the week is completed. So you can start and stop as much as you want throughout the week. Just make sure that it's complete by Sunday midnight, which is the deadline for each week. After the focus task, and by the way, if you completed a few days early, feel free to send it to me or let me know, ask me via email, and I'll go in and look and let you know if there's other things you need to change with it, or I'll give you some feedback. So for this first week, the step one is really just an intro to spreadsheets, and that's depending on how much you know. Step two is the actual lab test that's required, and typically this focus task will just be that step two, just the required portion. That step one I just put in there in case you haven't had much background with spreadsheets and want some good sites to start off there. After that, you'll go to the Explore section. And this is almost like a kind of sit back, relax, try to absorb some of the ways that this statistical content is connecting with your life. This will range. Some weeks will be very closely connected with the read and focus tasks, and sometimes it'll be a little looser where I'm just putting in some things that I want you to take away from this course. So in this particular case, you're watching a couple videos and you're spending some time surfing around on a site. I'll have you do this a few times throughout the course where I'll introduce you to a site that has many different options, and then I'll ask you to choose one of those to reflect on in your journal section. The journal is starting off with some prompt questions that I'll ask you. Here you can see it's describing this one article or infographic that you found on the site in the Explore section. And then there's also this kind of open-ended second portion of the journal where you can just really treat it like a journal and just tell me anything interesting or confusing, or if you have questions on any of the earlier parts of the week. I won't be able to answer them in time for the quiz at the end of the week. So if you have urgent questions, you should email me. But these are just kind of things you're kind of like, I wonder, how does that connect with this? Or if I were going to do this in my career, how would I apply this? Any kind of questions you can think of. Or just feel free to vent any, not necessarily vent, reflect, share any life situations that are coming up. I enjoy being involved in your life. It helps me know a little bit of what to put in here in terms of interesting statistical topics also, and just connect with you. I really do see this as a very personal course, and that journal is one of the things that makes it more personal instead of some kind of robotic online course like a MOOC where there'd be thousands and thousands of students enrolled in the course. The Discuss section you'll click on, and there'll be a forum post that you respond to. In this particular case, you'll just need to add your own post to introduce yourself and then respond to 5 of your classmates. In general, you won't have to do that many responses, but this is kind of a get to know you type of thing. So then I'm going to click back here on this week 1. And that brings us then to the reflect part 2. So the reflect is really happening in 2 sections. It's your journal, which is more of a internal reflection, and then a quiz, which is more of an external assessment of how you're taking in the information from that week. And I do have it set up so you can feel free to use the information as you're taking the quiz. There's no time limits. You can use the information throughout the week. You can do Google searches. I would ask that you not interact with any other people or communicate before, after, during the quiz until after the week has closed, and then you can interact as much as you want. You can also ask me. You will have 3 attempts to take the quiz, so if you want to ask me a question, in between attempts, that's certainly a valid thing to do, and I may give you some hints or direction on where to find that. And then finally, I do put in a self-checklist. I know that this is several parts. It can be fragmented. It can feel fragmented, especially if you're just doing a little bit every day. So I will try to include this checklist at the end just to make sure that you're getting everything there. Sometimes you might miss a little link like the Discuss Engage link. But if you're going through there item by item and making sure that you've completed it all, then you should be fine. So that is basically the course. We'll have 13 weeks that follow this pattern, and then the 14th week will be a final exam, which is a pretty low weight overall. It's 10% of your final grade, just to kind of give a capstone for what you've taken away from the course. So if you have any questions, let me know. I'm looking forward to getting to know you.